Imagine stepping onto a battlefield where your life expectancy is just 4 minutes. 4 minutes in which you must risk everything, not only against an invisible enemy hiding in a maze of underground tunnels, but also with a 70-pound tank of flammable liquid strapped to your back. You know every enemy around you will target you first, and yet, without you, your unit cannot survive. This is the story of the flamethrower soldiers on Iwo Jima, men who wielded one of the most terrifying, yet most effective weapons of World War II. The island of Iwo Jima was small, only about 8 square miles, but of enormous strategic importance. For the Americans, it was the key to protecting their B-29 bombers flying from the Marianas and striking directly at Japan. For the Japanese, it was a fortress to be held at any cost. General Tadamichi Kuribayashi turned the island into an underground stronghold, more than 11 miles of tunnels, over 1,500 bunkers, machine gun nests, and artillery positions, all carefully planned and interconnected. When the US Marines landed on February 19, 1945, an eerie silence hung over the beaches. They looked deserted, but it was a trap. Kuribayashi had ordered his men not to fire until the beaches were full of Americans. Then, about an hour into the landing, all hell broke loose. Machine guns, mortars, and perfectly pre-sighted artillery tore into the Marines. More than 2,400 Americans were killed on the first day alone. One survivor later described it. It was as if the earth itself had turned against us. Fire came from every hole, every ridge, every shadow. To root out the Japanese bunkers and tunnels, the Marines turned to a weapon feared and hated in equal measure, the M2 flamethrower. This device weighed around 70 pounds, carried 5 gallons of a sticky napalm-like mixture, and could unleash a stream of fire up to 30 yards long. It was ignited with white phosphorus, reliable, but dangerous. The operating time was frighteningly short, just 7 to 10 seconds of fire. Then the tank was empty, and the operator had to retreat, if he survived at all. Every Japanese soldier knew that killing a flamethrower operator could save his comrades, which made them prime targets for snipers and machine gunners. Many veterans remembered holding their breath as they pulled the trigger, not only because of the heat, but because the blast filled the air with smoke and toxic fumes. A flamethrower assault was a carefully choreographed operation. Machine guns and mortars first laid down suppressive fire. Then, crawling under intense fire, the flamethrower operator got into range. When he fired, the battlefield was filled with a deafening roar, followed by a column of flame that devoured everything in its path. But danger was everywhere. One bullet into the tank could turn the operator into a human torch. Wind could blow the flames back. Malfunctions could spill burning fuel with fatal results. And even a successful attack often revealed the operator's position through the rising smoke, leaving him vulnerable. As one Marine recalled, when you fired, everyone on the battlefield knew exactly where you were. You had seconds to get out. The effect of the flamethrower was devastating. In the tight bunkers, flames sucked the oxygen from the air in seconds. Many defenders suffocated before they burned. Those who survived the flames often died from toxic gases. Survivors were left with horrific burns and disfigurement. The operators themselves carried deep scars, not only physical, but mental. They watched enemies die up close, often burning alive. Many spoke of nightmares and lifelong guilt. One veteran said, "You smell it, you hear the screams, and you know it was you who pulled the trigger." Captured flamethrower operators often faced gruesome fates. Japanese soldiers frequently executed them immediately in revenge for the weapon's effects. On February 23, 1945, Herschel Woody Williams displayed extraordinary courage. With a flamethrower on his back, he crawled across the open beach toward multiple Japanese pillboxes. Under heavy fire, He destroyed one position after another while his comrades fell around him. For more than 4 hours he fought, swapping out empty flamethrowers for full ones, giving the Marines the chance to advance. He was later awarded the Medal of Honor, the only flamethrower operator on Iwo Jima to receive it. Of the 335 flamethrower operators in the battle, only 18 survived. Woody was one of them. Another survivor, Don Graves, recalled, "We weren't afraid of dying. We were afraid of being captured alive." After the war, many reports about flamethrower operations were kept classified. It wasn't until the 1960s that the true scale of the losses became known. Up to 94% of flamethrower operators were killed or seriously wounded. Even within the US Army, people rarely spoke about it. The weapon was effective, but its use was almost a death sentence for the men who carried it. One corporal from the 4th Division wrote, "We knew they wouldn't come back, but they went anyway." This also raised questions about the morality of such missions. Was it right to send men on what was essentially a suicide mission? Historians today see it as an example of the brutal logic of war. The catastrophic losses led to a new development. Flamethrowers mounted on tanks. The Flame Sherman could carry up to 300 gallons of fuel and unleash fire for nearly a full minute. Protected by steel armor, their crews had much higher survival chances. But these tanks were prime targets for Japanese soldiers armed with mortars, Molotov cocktails, and explosives. One hit could turn the tank into a blazing coffin. Experiences from Bougainville and Peleliu had already shown that flamethrower tanks could wipe out entire defensive lines in minutes. Yet the images of burning men and charred fortifications left deep scars on everyone involved. The story of the flamethrower soldiers on Iwo Jima is one of bravery and sacrifice, but also a dark chapter in the cruelty of war. Today, we remember men like Woody Williams, who defied the odds to achieve the impossible. But we also remember the hundreds whose names are forgotten, who lost their lives in just minutes. This story reminds us, behind every number is a person, behind every weapon, a story, and behind every victory, countless sacrifices. If you found this video meaningful, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments which other forgotten stories of World War II you'd like us to cover, because history lives on when we tell it.